Welcome to the Social University podcast. We are so glad you're joining us today because we want to help business owners, entrepreneurs, and people just like you who want to build their business online. Listen, if we can do it, you can do it. So let's go.
Good morning. I'm Karen Taranis with Social U, and it is time for What's Up Wednesday, where we come to you live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. to talk about social media tips, tricks, and trends. And in case you forgot, it is October, so it's spooky season, and we're talking about horror stories and nightmares and scary things. So today's scary thing that we're discussing is social media nightmares, mistakes to avoid. These are the most common mistakes made by small business owners, some big business owners, and nonprofits. And I started out with 10, and I got excited and kept going. So there's 15. So yay, there's 15. So let's go ahead, jump in. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. I'm happy to answer your questions. And these are in no particular order. They're random. So number one, not checking your stats. If you're failing to track and analyze your social media performance, it will prevent you from identifying areas for improvement so you can optimize your strategy. How do you know what to fix if you don't know what's broken? Or how do you know what to repeat if you don't know what's working? It's very critically important for you to, periodically check your stats and make sure you're doing what you need to be doing. The second mistake would be not knowing your audience or your ideal client, so you're using the wrong platform. And this happens a lot more than you think it would. Facebook is just about a necessary evil. It's very difficult to escape being on Facebook. Just the whole world's on Facebook. But there are people who get really locked down on TikTok, and that may not be where their audience is, or they'll get really locked down on Instagram, and that may not be where their audience is. So it's very important for you to understand who your audience is so you can identify the best way to communicate with them. And different platforms maintain different people. So you need to know that. Number three, incomplete bio or missing contact info. Every second of every day, people lose their attention span gets shorter and shorter. Years ago, it was like 7 seconds. I would be surprised now if it's 2 or 3 seconds. You have to have your contact information easy to read, easy to get to, very accessible, because what's happening is if they can't find your contact info, they're going to go to the next person. I will stick it out for maybe a whole minute and look for it, and that's not normal. Most people, if they don't see it immediately, they keep going. And if you need evidence of this, people will ask you a question on a post on Facebook when the answer is literally above where they are. They just don't want to scroll back and look at it. They want you to tell them. If that's not indicative of the attention span shifting, I don't know what is. Okay, number four, the worst mistake, the worst nightmare you can make online. One size does not fit all, period. All content is not okay for all platforms. If you're not tailoring your content to target your audience, this can result in not only low engagement, but missed opportunities on your part. Change the message so that it fits who you're speaking to and the platform that you're on. And basically you're changing the size. So you don't have to be the same on every platform, but even more importantly, it is not critical. Good morning. How are you? Digital art with Canva. Good morning. It's not critical to be on all platforms. It's also not realistic for a small business owner to be all things to all people. So you have to pick what's going to work best for you and focus on those platforms so you're getting the biggest bang for your buck. So it might be Facebook and Instagram, it might be YouTube and LinkedIn, but whatever it is, the messaging is going to be different based on the platform. TikTok messaging is different from LinkedIn by a lot. So tweaking for Facebook to Instagram is a little different, but sometimes it can be a big difference. Just be aware of that as you are generating your content. Number five, overposting or inconsistent posting, underposting. If you're failing to maintain a regular posting schedule, it will lead to a decline in your audience reach and your engagement. People and the algorithm on each platform rewards consistency. They are all about rewarding those who are posting in a consistent way. And Instagram takes that a step further. They want you to engage with people after you have actually done your own posting. So bear that in mind, because it does happen, and it happens often. You have to be consistent. And I would rather consistently see 2 or 3 really good posts a week than to have 6 that make no sense or don't really work with your brand or are not good information. It's always going to be quality over quantity, but consistency matters. Number 6, it's never about you, ever, as the business owner. It's always about your client. You always have to ask what's in it for them, not you. And if you are not transparent enough, or if you're too salesy, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to be hit up constantly for sales. You want to educate, inform, and entertain, and try to maintain that 20-80, where you have 20% of the time you're asking for the sale and 80% of the time educate, inform, entertain. So it can't always be about you. Number 7, if you're not responding to comments, complaints, DMs, not responding to these comments and messages or even reviews can damage your brand's reputation, and it really affects your customer satisfaction. I mean, especially if your customer takes time out of their day, out of their schedule to make positive comments about you and your business, thank them for it. Or even worse, if you have a terrible review and it's true and you don't address it, that's sloppy. People look for that kind of stuff. If you've been in business for more than 5 minutes, you're going to have a negative review somewhere. And a lot of people will check to see how you respond to the negative, because it tells them how you're going to perform in a worst case scenario. It does. So check those comments and DMs consistently. Okay, number 8, using low quality images and videos. Poor visual quality will turn off your audience and diminish your brand's credibility faster than almost anything else. So what do I mean by that? I mean, there are so many very good, outstanding, copyright-free images. There's no reason for you to get sued for using the first image you see on Google. This is what Canva's for. Canva has come so far in a short amount of time. If you have a professional account, you have the ability to use those images on your blog, on your social media presence. And there are multiple resources that have copyright-free images. Pexels, Pixabay, Styled Stock, New Old Stock, Gratisography, so many different Unsplash platforms that have free images for you to be able to use. There's no need for you to use something pixelated or watermarked. Just make sure what you're using looks good, because you don't want to be noticed for the wrong reason. Just bear that in mind. Okay, where are we? Number 9. So don't use poor quality images is number 8. Number 9, not using video. It is 2024. If you are not engaging with video, I almost really don't know how to address that, because it's so prevalent. It's so used. It is the conversion rate for video in your email on your homepage is so much higher than anything else you can generate or create. If you haven't started using video, it's time to check into that so that you have that content available to you, and build your video library. Okay, number 10, buying followers. I'm actually really surprised at how many people can continue to do this. Instagram seems to be the worst platform for purchasing followers. It is the most common on Instagram. It's very easy to tell when you have 1 million followers and there's a 0.5% of engagement. It's easy to tell that those followers are fake. So don't do that. Not only does it look terrible for your engagement, Instagram weighs that in their algorithm. If people aren't engaging with your content who follow you, they assume it's not great content. They're not going to let anybody see it. I would much rather you have 100 followers who are really engaged with your brand and talk to you than to have 1,000 followers who have no idea who you are. Community over quantity, always. So make sure you have real legitimate followers. Okay, number 12, overusing promotions. If you're constantly promoting products or services without offering valuable content, you're going to annoy your followers. And overposting and boredom are the 2 most common reasons that you're going to be unfollowed. And boredom equates to not enough posting. And overposting or too salesy, Same thing. If I call it Goldilocks syndrome. It has to be just right. You can't go too far or not far enough. It has to be consistent. And good example, and this is not true of all car salesmen, but used car salesmen have a reputation for being too salesy, where that's constantly, here's a car, here's a car, here's a car. It's too much. It's too much. If you're not going to educate or entertain, people are going to stop paying attention to what you're doing. So make sure that there's balance there. Again, 80-20. You want to sell about 20% of the time, and you want to give quality content the other 80%. 13, using too many hashtags. Overusing hashtags can make your posts look spammy and reduce their effectiveness. Do you need 50 hashtags on Instagram? Nope. Now, Instagram recommends 3, and I don't think that's enough. So we normally use somewhere between 10 and 15. But people on LinkedIn and people on Facebook, it wears them out. They don't want to see 30 different hashtags. They really don't want to see any hashtags, but you can get away with one just for categorization. But unless you're on Twitter, I'm never going to say X. It's not going to happen. Or Instagram. I mean, those are the 2 platforms where hashtags are the most prevalent. Other than that, not a big proponent of hashtag use. Okay, number 14, engaging in controversial topics. Posting about divisive or controversial topics can alienate your audience and damage your brand's reputation. Now, if you're running for mayor, post political content all day. That's your platform. That's your branding. That's who you are. If you're a small business owner that makes stickers, nobody needs to know who you're voting for or who your favorite football team is or how you feel. I mean, there's just no need for it. And you can alienate half of your audience immediately. Now, morals, ethics, brand standards, I think that's important. And I think you should always, as a small business, I support Safe House. We deeply believe in prevention of domestic violence and resources for victims of domestic violence. And I talk about this actually quite a lot because it's part of who we are. I'm all about supporting small business owners and women, female business owners, and safety for women. And we talk about it. And I'm okay with that. If that's something that causes you to be offended and you don't want to engage with us because of that, that's okay with me. But you're never going to catch me talking about, Alabama versus Auburn, which in the South is super, super divisive, or politics. It just doesn't have a place on most small business pages. Okie doke. Let's see, what number are we on? We talked about overusing promotions. Yeah, too many hashtags, engaging controversy. Yep. Okay, we're down to the last one. Number 15, failing to adapt to trends. If you are not staying up to date on what is trending on the latest social media trends or best practices, it will make your content less relevant and less engaging. A really good trend can help get you seen if you're using the right sound, if you're using the right CapCut, if you're using the right challenges. It can help move you forward. It can really help propel you forward. So you need to stay on top of that. Most trends start on TikTok. Now, can your business participate in all trends? Nope. You do want to be selective. But sometimes a well-placed trend can really help you reach an audience that you would not otherwise have been able to reach. So bear this in mind. And these are all points that matter across all social media platforms. They're not unique to Facebook or LinkedIn. They're relevant everywhere you go. And these are the top 15 that we see the most consistently from small business owners and nonprofits. Now, next week, we're going to talk about not horror stories, straight up horror stories, people who got canceled in the last 12 months because of something they posted online, people who have made a single mistake on social media that they cannot recover from. And we're also going to talk about personal horror stories. My team's been doing this a while, and I think it helps you to know people make mistakes. It's going to happen. It's totally normal. It's all about how you recover from the mistake and keep moving forward. So we're going to talk about mistakes that my team has made. They get so excited about this time of year because who doesn't love to talk about something you did, a few years ago that still haunts you to this day? Yeah. And we're also going to talk about getting canceled online and mistakes that were made that got people canceled. So that is it for us today. Thank you for joining me. Excuse me. Again, my name is Karen Taradas. I'm with Social U. And until next week, I'm here to help. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us for the Social University podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media at Stay Social U. That's the letter U. And we will talk to you next week. Remember, you've got this.